All right, welcome into Off the Radar here on Sikkim365.com. Taking a look at some just stories that are a little bit off the map or maybe very much on the map, and we just don't get to them because they're not Baylor or Cowboys or whatever related locally. So I'm actually going to start off with a very local note. Do y'all see Gerry Bohannon going viral today?
Yes.
Yeah.
My gosh.
610-pound squat. The video was put up on the Baylor athletic performance account, and I gotta admit, watching it, I see a lot of the comments, and people are scared for his knees, and they're scared of hernias, and scared of, and there's the amateur strength coaches who are trying to point out, the tips and everything like that. I actually saw the Baylor strength account, respond back to one of the professional trainers and put him in his place pretty quick on a video they posted the other day, which was funny. But yeah, Gerry Bohannon, there's a video out today. He's squatting 610 pounds. He's able to get it up, and I don't know, it's just cool. I saw Barstool was tweeting about it, which was just kind of random. So yeah, I was curious if you guys had seen that. But potential QB1, of course, he'll be dueling with Blake Shapen this offseason.
Well, and I saw where Shapen had some kind of big number he put up as well.
Also, just understanding that people can get hurt in the weight room and working out, it happens all the time. But the strength coaches who are put there to improve and protect the commodity in the offseason are, the sign of a bad strength coach is someone who lets the guys get hurt because they're not responsible. It looked like they had everything under control. Yeah. So, they always do.
Oh, the response the other day when some guy was talking, I don't remember who the player was. They were doing squats or something, and some trainer, was like, well, actually, you shouldn't be blah, blah, blah. And they just responded back. They're like, well, actually, the knees are fine and this is fine. And there was no response, I don't think, to that. So, yeah, I think Vic Valoria knows what he's doing. Yeah. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it's also not something that they just did today.
No.
I think you can get 6'10". You think you can get 6'10"? Put 6'10" on there.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. It's a gradual build.
Yeah, so that was just cool to see that's kind of going viral today. So, yeah, good for Gerry Bohannon, and it will be very interesting to see how the quarterback competition shakes out with him and Blake Shapen throughout this spring, and I wouldn't be surprised, I don't know about you guys, if that's another thing where it's all the way to week 1 of next year before they announce it. Now to College Station, where not such a good story today for Texas A&M football, or at least for a Texas A&M football player. Demas, if you follow recruiting, then you recognize the name, I would imagine, because if you follow recruiting, you heard about him a couple years back constantly. He was one of the top-rated 5-star, wide receiver, best players in the country. In his class, he was a huge land for A&M, had schools from all over the country, coming after him. I remember when they were doing, I don't know if it was the All-American game maybe, and, there was videos of him doing backflips during one of the practices. The athleticism was just completely off the charts, and there was very, very high hopes for this young man, but probably not so much now. Demas, announced today by A&M, was arrested on a family violence assault charge that occurred on Saturday evening, per the Houston Chronicle. Demas has been suspended from Texas A&M University and is not currently with the football program. According to the statement, Brazos County Sheriff's Office said the alleged victim was Demas's girlfriend. The report states the defendant, Demas, pushed her head into the wall. She bit him on the shoulder, and she reported that the defendant then grabbed her, threw her from off the bed onto the floor, which caused her top front teeth to go through her bottom lip. So that was according to her statement. They've been in a relationship for over a year. He's being held in Brazos County Jail, but had been released on bond by the time this had been posted. And his attorney, Tony Busby, I feel like we hear that name quite a bit. But
he represented Deshaun Watson, right?
No, he's Deshaun Watson's victims.
Oh, yeah, okay. That's right. That's probably why. Then, right. Yeah. So Tony Busby released a statement. He said that they learned about a warrant and the arrest yesterday. He insisted upon turning himself in quickly, which he did. He's been accused of a misdemeanor and now released on bond, and he says that they look forward to demonstrating it's all an unfortunate misunderstanding, and he clears his name. But he had a domestic dispute previously in 2020 with another girlfriend, and the wild part about this has now led to further arrests.
Yeah.
Involving a former NFL player and a former A&M wide receiver. Because as it turns out, the young woman in question is the daughter of former NFL and A&M wide receiver Robert Ferguson. And today, apparently, Robert Ferguson and his wife are in custody after police said that they attacked Demas on the university's campus. Campus police told KRHD the couple attacked the Aggie player on his way to a Title IX hearing. Authorities said officers took Robert Ferguson, former Packer and A&M football player, and his wife into custody, misdemeanor assault, and it rehashes kind of what happened. So there's not really, so far that I've seen, and I haven't had time here in the last hour or so to go look further, but that's basically all I've seen at this point. I don't know if there's further details about the altercation on campus or not, but yeah, what a kind of wild story for Texas A&M, but really for Demas. And
we brought up Velasquez, right, and what he did by shooting
Velasquez,
into a, and he shot into a car, and he ended up hitting the wrong person, the stepfather of someone alleged to have molested a relative. And I asked you guys about what would it take for you to snap, and how do you hold back from that? And then there's a case here where a father and mother attack somebody who's been charged with domestic violence or whatever the various terms are, and you just wonder about the rage level. And so and he's had trouble before. And I want to say this because I've seen a little bit of this A&M, and if you are a college fan, and we have to do this on occasion, It doesn't mean the entire place is a dumpster fire. It doesn't mean that everybody on that football team is full of a bunch of idiots or thugs or criminals. I see that already, and I know that they're easy to be attacked right now because they had the number one class and they're trying to get a little bit better. And so I
look, the wheel of crap when it comes to these things is has no predetermined path. It doesn't mean everybody. It's going to spin to you, and
if you get a couple, 3 or 4 more that are involved in that, then it starts to be a bunch. Then you start to wonder about the rats in the kitchen.
Yeah, you do. So we will see what happens. But Demas suspended, and obviously Robert Ferguson, he played at Tyler Junior College where I'm from, and so I remember him vividly. He's a great pro as well. But Paul, I mean, just not harping on this too much, but Demas obviously is a very well thought of athlete, and somebody that A&M thought was going to come in and be like a 3-year and done, top 10 type NFL draft pick sort of guy.
Yeah, and you watch A&M and he doesn't, I cannot remember, and there might have been a play like he might have scored against one of the FBS opponents or something like that, where I'm like, oh, there he is.
Yeah, he had like 15 catches, 280 and a touchdown.
But again, 15 catches, 280 and a touchdown. They expected more from him, especially at this point in his career. He's not a true freshman anymore by a long shot. So he should have been contributing, especially in an offense that spreads the ball around a lot.
Yeah, so there's a little update on that. The Arizona Cardinals have reached contract extension agreements with GM Steve Heim as well as head coach Cliff Kingsbury. Each is now under contract, according to the team, through the 2027 season. Has Cliff Kingsbury been better, about what you expected? I don't know how he could really be worse, quite frankly, but what have y'all thought about Cliff Kingsbury's journey from Tech to the NFL?
I think he's been better than I thought he'd be. I mean, he still hasn't really done much yet, but then again, if you really believe the Cardinals believe in him, then giving him extension and leaning into what he's doing is the right thing. Now they have a bigger fish to fry in that Kyler Murray's in his feelings right now, but I'm sure they'll figure that out.
Do you know how hard it is to win in the NFL?
It's very hard.
What Tom Belichick and, like Don Shula and
Tom Landry. Bill Belichick.
Those guys did, it really made it look like it's easy. But I'd say 3/4 of most head coaches in the NFL eventually leave, fired, or retired with losing records. Cliff Kingsbury is 24-24-1, which in the NFL is not bad, especially since he's only been there for 3 seasons. I think he deserves an opportunity to let this thing run its course. I know last year was a disappointing finish, but at least they showed that they're on their way up perhaps to the next level.
Yeah, I mean, you got to figure out the Kyler situation, but there's no team that doesn't deal with something similar at some point in time, especially when you've got a pretty good quarterback. To the NBA, did you guys see John Morant the other night against the Spurs?
52?
Yeah, and the dunks and just everything, the buzzer beater right before halftime where he caught the inbounds pass and just touched it enough to propel it to score right at the end of the half. Well, he scored 52 the other night against the Spurs. He's one of the hottest young players in the NBA. He's in year 3, and the other night, I mean, he just had everybody just up in arms over his performance. Well, this is not something I usually touch on, but I mean, social media is becoming, more and more and more of a factor in pretty much everything. And the NBA Instagram page stays pretty active, as you might imagine. Ja Morant's buzzer beater the other night versus Spurs is the NBA's most watched Instagram video ever.
It was a halftime shot, right? Was it at halftime?
Yeah, but I don't know. It still is a great shot.
No,
but
that's amazing because you would think dozens of incredible shots, especially with those guys.
It was. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I just think I think people are starting to. I think the Bucks, after the Bucks won it last year, I think NBA fans are starting to branch out of their normal ruts as far as the teams that they watch and follow, and that this is a really cool time for the NBA. If you look at the good players that they have, it's as if Major League Baseball could learn something from them.
Yeah.
Yes. There you go. Okay.
Sure is.
And I want Embiid. He's not young, but he's not old.
No.
Giannis, young. LeBron. These are the leading scorers in the NBA. DeRozan, young. Trae young. Morant, young. Doncic, very young. Donovan Mitchell. I mean, these are, Stephon Curry's on there and all that, but these are the young stars are unbelievable.
Yeah.
Wild thing about the NBA, though, is DeMar DeRozan, I wouldn't say DeMar DeRozan's young, but he's like early 30s, and so, or approaching mid-30s, so he's almost like an old guy because, these guys are stars by 24, 25, but yeah, it was just a simple halftime buzzer beater that wasn't that simple. I certainly couldn't have pulled it off, but it was the most watched Instagram video the NBA has ever posted. It said, according to the league, the video reportedly picked up 42.1 million views. And for the game of just the clips they posted, Ja Morant clips were watched 80 million times from the other night, which is, that's why that little shot got the record. He's been viewed, his videos have been viewed 325 million times overall, which is reportedly the third most of any player in the league behind Steph Curry and LeBron James. So that's Ja Morant for you right now.
Here's a Paul Catalina side note on Ja Morant. Florida State ended his college career, so
there you go.
I mean, I think
raise the banners.
I think Leonard Hamilton's strategy was Ja's going to score 28. If we make sure nobody else scores any, then we're fine.
We'll beat them 52-51. From Mike Games, by the way, Ja Morant is the best player in the NBA right now. Give it a couple of years. NBA will get him out of the small market of Memphis.
Yeah, we'll start hearing Knicks rumors and Brooklyn rumors, but right now he's averaging 27.6 points, 6.6 assists, and 5.9 rebounds per game. He's shooting nearly 50% and over 30% from three. I mean, he is ridiculous right now, and now he has the most watched Instagram NBA video ever. Speaking of basketball, especially for you, being in your 60s now, I mean, how many sports classics do you think you've seen remade now at this point? There's been a handful. I mean, they've pretty much they haven't tried to redo Field of Dreams or, The Natural, but they're probably going to at some point, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, at some point, Hollywood's going to probably revisit that.
Why not just come up with something
because
unique?
they never do. Because that's
hard.
Because it's hard to be original,
Hey, look,
and every story's been told according to some.
You know what Craig and I go to see tonight? The Batman. Not the first Batman movie they've ever made.
No.
Which to me means
it's a different Batman.
It's a different one.
It's different.
Yeah. Different.
They call it something different.
Here's the thing.
But it's Batman.
Call it Beachman.
Batman is
Beachman.
Batman is Hamlet now. Like if you're, back in the day when you played Hamlet, there's different
Batman is Hamlet.
It's our Hamlet.
Well, actors want to play it. I mean, it's a coveted role. I mean, people want to be Batman. Look at Val Kilmer, George Clooney, Michael Keaton. I mean, it's not like duds that are signing up for that role. But the reason why I bring this up is because there is a sports classic that is in the works to be remade now. White Men Can't Jump is being remade. And not only that, but they've already hired the actor who will play the role that was played by Woody Harrelson. And I don't know how many people, I think some people will know who this is. Many others in our audience probably will not. But rapper Jack Harlow is going to play the same role that Woody Harrelson played in this White Men Can't Jump reboot. And I had the same reaction, Paul. I know who Jack Harlow is. I've listened to some of his music. I like some of his songs. But when I saw this, as somebody who's not too old to not kind of still be with some things, although I'm approaching that very quickly. But also too old to probably be a huge Jack Harlow fan and be really excited about this. I don't know what to think, quite frankly, except for I don't want to see anybody other than Woody Harrelson and Wesley Snipes playing the White Man Can't Jump roles. But Jack Harlow is going to play one of the roles. I don't know who's going to play Wesley just yet.
White Man Can't Jump is a genuinely hilarious movie for many, many reasons. Woody is great in it. Wesley Snipes, and I know he's done some good movies, but it might be Wesley Snipes' best movie because he is really, really funny in it. And Rosie Perez makes the entire movie, and they're not going to cast anybody.
It's going to be Ariana Grande.
Who's as funny as Rosie Perez was in the original.
All right.
Yeah, it's going to be Ariana Grande or some
stupid, Billy.
Some girl from Euphoria or Zendaya will be Rosie Perez's role. Yeah. But yeah, I saw that, and I just had to shake my head a little bit because I was not expecting a reboot of White Men Can't Jump.
Can it be Selma Hayek?
No,
she's too old.
Too old at this point.
Too
old at this point. Peyton Manning's TV career is continuing to blossom and even going outside of sports right now. According to Awful Announcing, Peyton Manning and his Omaha production company have had a pair of series ordered by the History Channel. One series will be called History's Greatest of All Time, where Manning will feature a countdown of the greatest of all time in some specific type of a category. So that will be one of the roles. The other one's going to be called the Einstein Challenge. And the description for that reads, half-hour series, it's being produced, blah, blah, blah. We'll see two world-class experts compete to see who can best explain seriously complicated concepts, such as how does an airplane fly or how bad was the eruption of Mount Vesuvius, to a panel of kids. So that is Peyton Manning's production company. A couple new series on the way, including ones that he's obviously going to be a part of with that History Channel one, but a little Hollywood outside of sports action. And I think I'm going to leave it there for right now. I think that's a few things off the radar.
I like the idea for that show. I think
time for one more story.
I think Peyton will be great with it. I think he's excellent on television.
Yeah, he is. So, and I'm sure this is just the start of much more. That production company, when it's all said and done, is probably going to end up being pretty I mean, it's already doing well, but I think it'll only grow and grow.
All right, one more story.
All right,
that I have one to add.
I mean, MLB is talking about we're working on it. Basically, we're working on it, the whole lockout thing and all of that. But I did see, World Series odds that came across my page, and I didn't get the full league because I was curious to see how low the Rangers were, how in the middle they are. But I only was able to see the top 10 of the odds that were released. And I'm just curious, Paul especially, just your thoughts. Mets, the favorite to win the World Series, according to
Scherzer, Syndergaard at the top of that rotation.
Who's their backup shortstop?
That I don't know, but
that's all that matters.
But they still have Francisco Lindor. I mean, they're all right. I mean, the Mets are going to be good. Scherzer alone is worth, not only just on the mound, but just the attitude he brings, is probably worth 10 wins when he's not pitching, because you don't mess around in a Max Scherzer clubhouse.
Can you imagine being a Mets fan and this is the year they decide to lock out? Are you serious?
There's not going to be a lot of grab ass.
No. So Mets followed by Yankees, White Sox, both of them 11-1. Dodgers 4, Padres 5, Braves, Jays, Astros at 8, Phillies, Tigers. Those are the top 10 best odds to win next.
Tigers.
Where the hell is your team?
The Red Sox. I mean, we
top 10,
past 10.
We don't know who the starting rotation is going to be. Yes, we don't know.
No, you can say that with Florida State.
We as a collective of people.
Right.
I mean, who's name after? I don't know who the rotation is.
All right. Okay.
To be fair, the Tigers are 35-1 at number 10. So it's not. I mean, I think that speaks more to there's a few teams that people feel like can win it, and probably not a whole lot beyond that. Sort of like college football.
I wonder if the season being shrunk in any way, 20 games, 30 games, 50 games, allows those who are not as good a better chance to possibly screw up those odds. Here's a couple more notes, and this is a horrible note. Stanford women's soccer player Katie Meyer died at 22. Goalkeeper, captain of the Stanford women's team, on-campus residence. Death was not yet provided. Of course, everyone. I saw Emmett Smith reaching out about a parent. God help us if we're ever a parent that has to be informed that you've lost your child at such a young age.
Yeah, and I think people have kind of assumed what happened or suggested what happened, and rightfully so. There's some people that are kind of caught off guard. We've seen stories like this sort of piling up during the pandemic of just young people struggling. But you think about a girl who's at Stanford, is 22, is a great athlete, and potentially did something, and that's tough to swallow. I mean, it really is hard to wrap your head around. It really is. That's a very sad story.
And then this final quick story: the New York Liberty were fined $500,000 for chartering flights and other violations. The WNBA actually has a rule against teams, franchises, chartering flights because they feel like it's a competitive disadvantage for others who can't.
That it's kind of like the old USFL rules, because they had a salary cap in place, but George Allen, his team broke it. He paid people under the tables, but yeah, maybe it's time to get some more owners in your league that can do it, and just hopefully the WNBA can grow a little bit so they can all do that.
The owner of the Liberty has actually, from what she said, or a spokesman, that has prevented some options for the WNBA to have better travel accommodations. But the WNBA said, we never got anything from anybody. So, but that's interesting. You have an owner who's willing to charter flights, spend more money, excuse me, and yet then gets fined because they're trying to help their players have better accommodations, maybe a quicker flight, get away in 3 or 4 hours rather than have to wait around for something else. When we come back,